The festival is overflowing and teeming with life and laughter as we push our way into the crowds that gather around the colorful stalls. I stay close to Finn, amused to see the townsfolk enthusiastically waving and smiling at him. "You're quite popular, aren't you?" He shrugs, a hand hovering close to my waist as he guides me through.
We offer the town protection, so most of them tend to be quite grateful to us. There are some who are less than thrilled about my presence, though, so don't be fooled.
We finally find a break in the crowd and move to stand near the edge of the market where we can see the docks clearly. It's mostly the older residents who are hesitant to trust me, and I don't really blame them. Why wouldn't they trust you? He looks away, flexing his fingers, the magic that flows through his iron arm fluttering with the movement.
Because I'm still a vampire. The former head of my clan, my sire, was not interested in offering the town any kind of protection. Though we did not hunt near here, word travels.
I let the silence between us linger, giving him a moment before turning to me with a trademark toothy grin. "Let me show you how us Lunarians do things, shall we?" He holds out his arm, and I take it without hesitation. Then Piper emerges from the crowd, stopping us both in our tracks. She's armed, albeit subtly, and her smile is friendly as she approaches.
Well, well, what have we here? You get the attention of all the pretty ones, don't you, Casimir?
Hello, Piper.
Pretty ones?
Ignore her. She's just bitter that Willenheim has her doing grunt work tonight. Isn't that right, Merriman?
Oh.
Everyone else gets a night off, and yet here I am, shouting at drunkards for getting too handsy with the sweet stand.
Finn is clearly amused by her bad mood, and she throws him a glare, but her lips curl into a smile. I get the impression these two are friendly. "Anyway, what are you two up to? Going to show him your dingy underground lair, Casimir?" Finn rolls his eyes. "The catacombs are no less dingy than the hovel you call home, I'm sure." "I'm sure they're both lovely." Piper snorts, elbowing Finn in the ribs. "I prefer to stay above ground. Those tunnels give me the creeps."
Well, you give us the creeps. So I guess we're even, aren't we?
Says the dead man.
"Are you really working tonight, Piper?" She sighs and cocks her head. "Yes, and I better get back to it actually. No doubt Willenheim is on the lookout, just dying for me to fuck up. It was nice seeing to you both. Enjoy the rest of the evening." Piper waves as she departs, shouting loudly as she goes.
Fingers crossed for no horrible murders.
Always good. Finn huffs a laugh, shaking his head incredulously. "You two are friends then?" He shrugs. "I suppose. She's alright, and she doesn't bother us. She's good at understanding we mean no harm." "I think you two are quite similar, actually, so it makes sense."
I've been compared to worse. I'll take it. At least she can hold her liquor. Come on, let's have a look around.
He insists on showing me his favorite stall, one that overflows with a selection of beautiful parchments, colorful inks, and sketchbooks. He enthusiastically points out which notebook he purchased for Omen when he saw him scribbling on the back of Ezra's shop records one day. We turn the corner and find an exasperated Ezra perusing the herbalist stall, bickering with the sour-faced woman that owns it. Finn smiles, approaching him quietly and placing a hand upon his back to announce his presence. "Is there a problem?" Ezra turns, visibly relaxing when he sees him. "Nothing other than trying to stiff me for her shoddy Angelica route." He mutters something under his breath and hands over his coin, stuffing the goods into his pocket. "Sorry about that. I apparently take the price of goods a bit too seriously sometimes. Are you two enjoying yourselves?" Finn looks at me expectantly, raising a scared brow in question. "Of course. How can I not with such a wonderful guide?" "Glad to hear it." "I'd better dash. I left Omen and Alkar at the docks to save a spot for the fireworks." "Was that a good idea? Alkar probably has him halfway to Thyris by now. I laugh, but it's probably true. Shit. I go and see if I can find them. I've already confiscated chocolate from Omen twice. He just can't resist, can he? No matter how much he complains about his tongue tingling. Enjoy the fireworks. I hear they'll be quite impressive this year. He glances at Finn and winks playfully. Behave, you.
Don't I always?
If you say so. Goodbye, you two.
Would you like to watch the fireworks? We don't have to. They're not exactly impressive, and I've seen them more than a few times in my lifetime. But if you want...
What would you do if you weren't here with me? He ponders my question for a moment, scuffing his boots on the ground as he steps closer.
Let's go for a walk. I want to show you my favorite place here in Lunaris. It's not far. Come on.
Oh, also really nice artwork. He takes me down to the beach, and it's small and not exactly something you would expect to see in a town like Lunaris, but the water that gently laps against the shore is soothing. You can see why he likes it here.
I come here often. It's one of the only places that I can find a little peace, other than the graveyard.
When was the last time you saw the sun? I almost immediately regret asking when I see his face fall.
Oh, just a good 660-something years ago, give or take. But that's okay, because I have places like this that still look wonderful in the darkness. And good company helps too.
He stands close, our fingertips brushing. I shiver at the feel of his cold skin, craving that contract. Thank you for showing me. It's really lovely. He hums in agreement, and we stand in silence for a little while, the noise of the festival a distant murmur. I rove my eyes over his face, the milky glow of the moonlight spilling over his cheeks, and his dark lashes flutter as he stares up at the stars. My heart stutters in my chest, and I think back to his words early on, knowing that he hears it. I wonder what it sounds like to him. Is it a rush, a quickening, a desperate thrum? A smirk hooks the corner of his mouth, but he doesn't turn to meet my gaze. Fireworks burst across the skies, sparks scattering wildly, and Finn looks as otherworldly as he truly is, as his sharp features are bathed in ever-shifting colors. I look skyward, and it's only as I avert my gaze that I feel him looking at me. Beautiful. His next words are soft.
Yes. Beautiful.
I feel his fingers reach for mine, my breath stuttering as I meet his touch willingly. Not even the ice-cold chill of his skin could cool the impossible heat that I feel in this moment. The fireworks stop and the crowd cheers, and then there's perfect silence. Nothing but him and I, and the gentle sound of the waves lapping against the shore. My gaze drops to our loosely entwined fingers, then up to meet burning gold. With little thought and very little hesitation, we both lean in until our lips are but a breath apart. Then, a scream. Oh, come on. Such a nice... blood-curdling and awful in the distance. And silence. Warning. Any dialogue options labeled fight in this chapter will lead to scenes containing violence and gore. Player discretion is advised. The cold winter winds whips against my skin as I run as fast as I can, sinking deeper into the ominous woodland that surrounds Lunaris. I'm hot on Piper's heels, and she's determined and hyper-focused, as am I. There's nothing like the hunt, the way my instinct drive every feeling, my senses sharpened to a nice edge. Every thought is fixated on winning and only winning. I can think of nothing else but finding the source of the distress, a terrible sense of dread swirling deep in my gut. The woods are teeming with every hunter and enforcer Lunaris has to offer, each and every one of us silently hoping that it isn't what we think it is. that this isn't the fifth victim that we've all been expecting. Another of our comrades targeted and slain so brutally and without an apparent motive. Killed simply for doing their job, protecting humankind. My feet pound the frost-crept grass, tall trees with gnarled branches that curl inward like talons, almost naked from winter's wrath looming high above us. I spot my eyes glowing in the darkness, but I quickly realize they've carved messily into the rickety tree trunks. They glow ominously, and as another gust of wind blows, I swear I see them blink. I make a mental note to remind myself to return to investigate, though I'm sure they're nothing new, not in a town like this. Piper skids to a stop, her fingers diligently hovering just above the handle of each of her daggers that sits safely in the holster at her back. Did you hear that? Quiet but obvious whisper echoes among the trees, a pain groan from something unquestionably inhuman, from a creature. I did. My fingers twitch, so do mine. Eyes narrowed, every sense razor sharp and zoned on the particular point.
It feels young and inexperienced. It's beneath our skill level. Beneath us.
She says it with such confidence, but her guard is still firmly up. Sounds wise. The duo of wide-eyed Hunter Sergeant that have been ordered to tail us arrive at our side, their cheeks rosy from the harsh bite of the wind. Major? Piper opens her mouth to respond, but she pauses, looking at me.
You're the highest rank here, General. Do we move on and let these two handle it? Or do you fancy working out some tension?
We're gonna leave it to them. I read the sergeant directly, deciding it's far more important than that we continue to the rendezvous point and find August. Take care of it. They nod, dutifully unsheathing their weapons. Piper and I watch for a moment as they slowly but surely sink into the darker depths of the forest. I always itch for a fight, but tonight we have other matters to attend to. We hear the unmistakable snarl of a youngling as we continue on our path, followed by the loud, echoing clash of steel. Yeah, very excited to see what it's gonna be. I try to still my racing heart and switch my focus back on the mission in hand, my blood still itching for a fight. I'm taken aback by how vast this woodland is, and the seemingly never-ending rows of trees that disappear if you try to look it too far. How much further until we are not in Lunaris anymore? Piper shrugs, her stride longful and purposeful, wind whipping at her hair. I don't know exactly, but I'm pretty sure there's more forest than there's town. Makes sense, I suppose. Considering Lunaris' strangely heightened level of creature activity, there must be a lot of space for them to dwell in. Piper skids to a stop yet again, her hand raised. What is it? With a heavy sigh, she turns to face me, her cheeks kissed pink from the biting cold, as I'm sure mine are too. She squints at me. There's something on her mind. This feels weirdly normal, doesn't it? I blink, confused. Normal? She feigns anger, her lips curling back over perfectly white teeth. I mean us being out here together. My eyes widen, and I catch myself before she registers my shock and takes offense. I can't deny it, I do feel a sort of kinship with Piper. Being out here with her is far easier than I anticipated, anyway. It does feel quite normal, actually. I like it.
I've never really had a partner other than August before. I know this isn't really the time or place to get sentimental, but I have to admit that I'm glad you're not a complete wanker.
Thanks. But yeah, I would agree it's not the place or time. I place my hand over my heart. I'm flattered. What an honor, Hunter Merriman. Don't make me take it back. Piper tilts her head to the side, a loud crack as her bones click back into their rightful place. Let's dash! It's easy to tell what we're dealing with as we draw nearer to the scene. Dozens of hunters and enforcers of varying ranks saturate the small clearing, the majority of them still dressed in their festival attire, much like Piper and I. We spot a retrieval team emerging from the T-line. Their faces are pale and drawn. It's then that I know it didn't make it.
You're here.
We are. August sighs heavily, turning to look at the overwhelming scene that unfolds before us.
It's not good news, as I'm sure you can tell.
My heart sinks. I knew, but hearing it out loud is still unpleasant. Do we have an identity? They shake their heads, brushing the front of their fur coat that I'm sure they're less than happy about wearing in such a situation.
We cannot identify the...
The voice catches.
There is no body. Again, nothing but... well, I don't need to repeat such monstrous details. You've read the reports from the previous murders. Much of the same ghastliness.
No. Piper scoffs, her shoulders tensing, and I swear I can see tears in her eyes. She's hurting and angry. So angry that I can feel it. Goose flesh prickles across my skin thanks to our close proximity. My own emotions waver with the sheer force of it. This is fucking ridiculous.
This cannot keep happening, August!
I flinch, feeling the surge of energy as August reacts. The smell of ozone is suddenly thick in the air. So it's a magic thing. There's a flash in the darkness, and violet sparks crackle above their clenched fists, their eyes alight.
Thank you, Piper, for your input. I didn't know this was upsetting. I assumed everyone was enjoying this.
A dozen eyes turn to look at them, and they quickly calm themselves. August looks beyond exhausted, as always. The skin beneath their eyes is purple, their cheeks drawn. Piper opens her mouth to retaliate, but wisely decides against it. This actually might be the first time I've seen her looking guilty. August avert their gaze as if they can't bear to look at her. They are upset too.
I suggest you keep your thoughts to yourself in such a situation, unless you have any useful insight.
That's harsh. It's not a question.
Yes. Sorry, General.
I thought as much. We are all hurting, Piper, not just you. August sighs deeply, sparing us both a woeful glance before they address the gathered forces.
Hunters, any mages present will patrol the immediate area. Generals will head further afield and begin an extensive perimeter search. I want no stone unturned here. Any juniors need to get the hell out of here. You're not equipped to even think about dealing with whatever this thing is. And I won't be responsible for your demise. Anyone else present is to report back to headquarters immediately. We'll need people on the ground in order to reassure the townsfolk. I don't want this causing widespread panic. It's damage control time.
There's a quiet, subdued mumble of, "Yes, General," and they all dutifully begin to obey August's orders, disappearing in various directions. Would you like me to join the perimeter search? No, I'd like you to go home. Leave this to the others. We need you ready for anything that may transpire overnight. Of course. Piper fidgets, uneasy. What? You're Major, aren't you? If you were listening, you'll know what I ask of you. The tension between them is yet again immensely unpleasant. Of course, General. She'd never expected such a response, and I wonder if she'll ever learn. Or maybe she's hoping to rile them up. I can't tell. She throws them a quick, pitiful glance before she glares at August and turns to join her comrades. Later. August messages their temples, inhaling sharply. I notice that their hands are trembling, and I unconsciously take a step toward them, fearful that they might pass out. They hold out their hand. Fine, really. General.
I appreciate your concern, Hunter, really. Anything that ails me is my fault and mine alone.
No, please head back. I meant it when I said I needed you rested.
You'll be the first to hear if anything significant happens. I'll send a messenger to retrieve you when the victim has been identified.
Of course, good night and stay safe. If you think I'm staying out here in this for another second, you're sorely mistaken. I have a mountain of paperwork the size of the airbag on my desk. Farewell, Ethan. I take a final look at the scene where the Enforcer witches have carved their mage lights over a bloodied patch of grass, leaving them to their work no matter how much I long to investigate. After that outburst, it's best not to question my Enforcer's request. I bow my head before I turn, eager to get out of here. As I head back through the wood land, I notice how eerily silent it is. A strange sense of calm washes over me, then a whisper. Harry. I stop dead in my tracks, my hand hovering over my weapon. I see nothing, feel nothing, no matter how hard I concentrate. Then I realize that voice, the familiar yet subdued ache that begins to creep into my temple. James? You deserve to know. The pain ebbs and flows, my breathing growing unsteady, almost as if something weighs heavy upon my chest. The fleeting, comforting calm that had just settled over me is snatched away as his voice continues to echo in my mind. No, what? I'm sorry. A sharp, burning pain shoots up along my spine, and I fall to the ground. The snow-covered grass is wet beneath my fingertips. His words were cut off, and after a moment, I'm yet again surrounded by a blissful silence. Fucking ghosts. I drag myself to my feet, and now I only have the one thing on my mind, one thing that I must do. Visit the Lieutenant General and find out what the hell is happening here.